Aloha Friday, everybody. Thank you for being with me. If you're joining us from any other platforms, thank you, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Parade Deck, for joining me today on this Aloha Friday Live. I am still happy that we are celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month. Today's guest is Refugio Atilano. He is an award-winning DEI expert and also the author of the Latino Leadership Playbook. And I'm excited to have him. We're waiting on him to chime in. But as we're waiting, I want to make sure that we take this time to also remember the fact that some things have been happening. Maui is still suffering from the loss of the fire, and we have them in our thoughts and prayers. But there are other things that have happened, earthquakes, flooding in Libya, which have surpassed 2,000 people, well in the thousands of people and their lives lost. So my prayers and heart goes out to all those areas of the world that are now experiencing some hard times. We just, here in the Acosta residence, just went through a heavy loss. So I understand what that might feel like as a human. Don't know exactly what it feels like in those particular areas and those events. But like I said, our thoughts and prayers are with them. So we are right now opening up Hispanic Heritage Month. It is from September 15th all the way out through October 15th. And we will have guests on this Aloha Friday show that I am so happy to have. We also will have guests on DTLW podcast that will represent the Hispanic community and the leadership realm there. So please join us both here on Fridays, 11 o'clock on Aloha Friday Live, and also on Mondays. The podcast goes live 6 a.m. every week on Mondays, and we'll have some great leadership tips and advice from worldwide leaders, and we're so happy to do that. Now, as we're going on and folks are coming in, please don't be shy. Get in on the comments and let us know that you're joining us today. If you don't see us live on one of those platforms, please let us know so we can correct that. But today is the beginning of what we call Hispanic Heritage Month. It is from all those that are of Hispanic descent, basically folks that were descendants of folks from Spain, right? And they moved about the world and conquered a lot of countries. So if you are one of those, hey, let us know that you're joining us this Friday, and we'll be happy to even conversate. So if you have a question on any of the topics or any of the comments that we will be, or commentary that we will be engaging in today, please make sure to get on in the comment section. You can ask questions, you can make comments. We would love to highlight your comment on the show. So Hispanic Heritage Month, I'm proud to be of Hispanic descent. I know that every time I sit down to eat, I'm thanking God that I'm Puerto Rican because the food is just so good. And for those of different areas in our world of Hispanic descent, I'm sure that you can attest to your own food in your region. But more importantly, what I love about the Hispanic community is that we, for the most part, we are very humble folks that work hard and really strive to earn our keep and our name and our place in the world. And you'll see that across the globe. Most folks are of humble beginnings, and we carry that humility and that fervor to, to enlarge ourselves, to enlarge our family, and to make sure that they have better for the next generation. So all of you of Hispanic origin, happy Hispanic Heritage Month. And today's guest, as we're waiting on the arrival here, um, is a friend that I've made through LinkedIn. Now, for those of you that are on the LinkedIn platform, and if you're not, hey, I encourage you to go there. There are a lot of great professionals that hang around the LinkedIn community and then are doing great things. But Refugio is the Latino Leadership Playbook author. I had the great honor of collaborating with him on that book. It will be coming out here in October, early part of October, first 2 weeks. And I'm so excited for him, for all the contributing authors, and for everybody that actually had a part and play in the structure and release of this book. It is a compilation of Latino leaders from around the world that have shared their story in here. And I'm going to wait for Refugio to really get into that, um, so that you can hear it from the author's perspective. But I did want to, while we wait, I did want to cover some things that have been pressing on me. I've made a couple of posts, and you will see that on all the platforms. I've shared similar sentiment, and that is appreciation for those that do have a positive impact on you as a human, on you as a professional, on you in any capacity. And sometimes we don't take the couple of seconds at times, even minutes, to let folks know how we really uh, feel about them, how much we appreciate them, and how much we really want them to know of the impact, the positive impact they've had on our lives. And this morning, I took some time to send some key people that I have been affiliated with or have shared some time with. Those people have received those messages this morning. Uh, and I just wanted to make sure that if tomorrow never came for me, that I would take this opportunity to let those individuals know. Now, I know a lot of people. Sometimes they joke me about how many people I know, and I will surely take some time, given the opportunity, to continue to express that with other folks that I do know I was not able to reach out to today. But we want to make sure that folks know that they are appreciated. So if you have not done that today, or you would like to express that today, don't let this live impede in that. Take a moment, send a message, send a text, send a voice. Hey, this morning I sent a voice message on LinkedIn, and it was well received. Do that. Do that while you still have the time to be able to share that sentiment with those people that really, really matter in your life and have made a positive impact on you. All right. So as we go through this day, through this month in celebration, I'm sure there's a lot of folks that have Hispanic friends, Hispanic family members, Hispanic acquaintances. And I wonder if you've delved into their history. I wonder if you've ever even asked, hey, what does Hispanic Heritage Month mean to you? What is your life like as a Hispanic? What would you like for me to learn as a maybe non-Hispanic or Hispanic from a different region, right? Because we have all opportunities to learn and grow. And those conversations really do expand our mind, and they do expand the way we treat people. I am part of the Rosie Network, and there's a CEO class that they teach. It goes over several weeks, And one of the classes that I teach is the leadership class. And in that leadership class, there's a subsection that I talk about, and it's actually called cultural awareness, or cultural competence, and I've kind of like dubbed that a different way, cultural awareness. And the reason why I kind of changed that name was, and as I share in this class, is that even I, as a Puerto Rican born on island, Puerto Rican parents, and they spoke Spanish, I am still not fully competent in all that it is to be a Puerto Rican. As you can tell, I'm more fluent in English, and although I speak, fluent Spanish, sometimes I get caught in some words that I have not expressed in many years, and I'll have to default to English. So even as a Puerto Rico born person raised in that environment, I still am not competent. So I dubbed it awareness, because as leaders, we need to be aware of our complement, who is in our group, and aware of some of their customs and what is valued and what is not. Because as a leader, the real impact is on how you're able to lead a person that may be from a different region of the world, that may have different beliefs, that may see things differently as far as importance. And as a leader, that's where you get the most bang for your buck. If you are culturally aware and can navigate some conversations that may come up, or some situations that may come up. So, as a leader, I would ask for you to look into how you can be culturally aware, especially with the different folks that are in your group, uh, and and then you'll see. You tell me. You tell me if that changed something for you and your company or your group by you striving to do that. Uh, so as we're heading into this Hispanic Heritage Month, that would be probably one good goal to have. Uh, Look at the folks that you have in your group, see who's Hispanic origin, of Latin origin, and kind of talk to them, get acquainted with them and their culture, their background, and yeah, and that'll be it. Now, Refugio is on in the waiting room, and I do see you, brother, but I don't see your video. So if I bring you up to stage, uh, I don't know if you'll come up, but let's try, right? Because you just never know. Sometimes it's going to load, but as he gets into the room, I wonder if anyone out there listening or look viewing this live right now has that type of history. Have you gone in and talked to your people about their origins? Talk to your people about their upbringings and what they value and don't value. Because I know that as a leader, it would be beneficial to me to have that. Yeah, and you're welcome to get in the comment section and express your experience. Also, express how you would go about it. Maybe I'm doing it wrong. You never know. And so that would be great. Refugio, I see that it is trying to get on, but if you wouldn't mind just popping off and then coming back on, it will probably work. So we'll wait for that. All right. So what I do know that there's an event coming up in the West Coast by my friend Frank Carvajal. He has a leadership summit here in October. And if you're not connected with Frank, please do so. He's doing great things out there in California. And I know that I don't know if and there are any tickets left for the event, but you can check and see uh, if they are. But a wonderful event to go to and witness. As a matter of fact, Refugio will be on his way out there to be with Frank. Um, so something to look into. All right, let's talk a little bit about leadership while we wait for this to kick off. Right, as we start this, we're on the outside of the hurricane season. Right, we just went off the peak, and we're going on the down trend towards November, which will be the end of the hurricane season here in Florida and for the most of the states. But how are you preparing for the times of disaster? Now, we had mentioned earlier the event in Maui, the events in the other parts of the world, and that they're suffering. As leaders, um, it's heart wrenching to see your people go through. But as a leader, how are you preparing for that? Have you ever given it thought? Hey, if we lost somebody here at this company, how would we deal with that? How are we going to deal with the people that work with that person? If there's a mass casualty, um, how you know, how are you going to deal with that? And now let me answer my brother here, um, and see if he can get him into the show. Um, but he is trying to log on, and as always, you're going to have some technical issues here and there. But so, as leaders, are you prepared for these moments, right, where you're looking at a hard moment, hard times for your people? What do you have in place to to address those times? Because that's where leadership is evident. That's where your capabilities as a leader come and shine forward. So, if you never thought about it, good day to think about that as well. And yeah, but there are some things that we want to make sure that we're ready for. These are things that we don't want to be ready for, but they will come in one way, shape, or form. I encourage you to look at those plans. And if you don't have some plans in place, to consider those, right? I'm going to try to bring Refugio in. I don't see your camera, brother. Um, Let me see. Yeah, it looks like it's trying to load in, but I don't see the camera, so I don't know what's going on there. Maybe we should have tested this yesterday when we talked. And it's funny how you plan for things, and sometimes it just doesn't go through, even with the plans. But yeah, I'm going to take you off and try to bring you back on. Let me see. All right. Well, as as we wait for that to come to fruition, uh, what we wanted to do today was kick off the Hispanic Heritage Month. Hopefully, Refugio can get in and join us today. But in any case, what are you happy for? What are you appreciative about? Um, what can you say today that you're happy about, that you're thankful for? It is in these moments that you realize how blessed you are. It is in these moments of reflection where you realize um, how precious life is. You know, so and I don't want to make this too too of an emotional thing, but that we do have a lot to be thankful for, especially if you was able to, rise from the bed and you're healthy, right? Um, if you was able to sleep through the night and get up, if you was able to see your family this morning, um, a lot to be thankful for. And I think that a key to life is gratitude. If you're grateful for things, you tend to see things in a better light. You tend to not let other things occupy you in a negative way. Because we all know that even trials and even storms, I spoke about this before, even storms are meant to move, right? And they will. And sometimes in your life, you have these things come through and you think that that's it. that's that's all that's written, that's wrote, right? And then you realize that it was temporary, that it came and it did leave. And you survived. And you survived, and now you have what we call, right after the test, you got a testimony. So have you considered those things that you can actually gravitate to that are testimonials? Yeah, I had a hard life, and this is what happened, and I acknowledge that that did happen. But this is what's happened since then. And it could be a source, um, of motivation, a source of inspiration to others. And you'd be amazed how just sharing that simple moment of gratitude would make someone else's life a whole lot brighter. Now, Refugio, I see that you're trying to get in, and I'm going to see if if I uh if it's something on my end, but I'm looking at all the platforms and I'm live. So hopefully, maybe it's a computer issue. You go ahead and try that. But I'll be here, brother. So don't worry. To take your time and hop in when you can. The only thing is that we're going to be time limited. So just for your knowledge, folks, Hispanic Heritage Month, and everybody has their piece of the calendar, right? I was just talking to my daughter about, World Hug Day, and then right after that was World Donut Day. I think it was yesterday. I totally skipped that because, boy, do I love me some donut. And she said, "Hey, I got you 2 donuts, but I left them at my job site." Like, oh well, you can. Yeah, we can go get some later. But what we try to do is, be appreciative of those of Hispanic descent that have done and have gone before us, have done things that were groundbreaking, right? And have paved the way for other Latinos and Hispanic folks to come through and get a little farther, right? And as leaders, we do that. We try to pave a way for those that we are blessed to lead so they can get a little farther. Um, Learn some lessons along the way, help them kind of reason and reflect. And I see you, brother. Now I'm going to bring you up. There we go. Well,
It must have been settings on my work computer, so I apologize.
no worries, man. We were just chit chatting here, but folks, we're happy to have Refugio with us. Ref, as we so lovingly refer to, the author, right? The author of the Latino Leadership Playbook, coming out here in October. Uh, Ref, I'll let you give a little synopsis of you, your life, your background, and then we'll talk about your book, because not only am I appreciative of being part of it, but so many people from across the nation have come in to bring this to life, and it's an amazing project to be part of. But your efforts are to be applauded. So I'll give you the floor, brother.
Thank you, Enrique, and thank you for inviting me here. Really appreciate the opportunity to be here. So, I'm a Refugio. I go by Ref Atilano. I'm Chicago, second generation Mexican. Born and raised here in Chicago, and I was born speaking English, so that's part of my upbringing as well. But my culture still remains the same, and my cultural values are still very Latino. I grew up very family oriented, group oriented, very respectful, all those things. And so that's been a big part of my life. Always been in corporate environments. So I've worked for many different corporations, and now with a major, pharma company, with AbbVie. But part of my passion is giving back and showcasing my leadership capabilities and being able to lift others. That's really important to me as a Latino. I always tell myself, I wish I had myself when I was younger, and so, I felt compelled and a deep responsibility to now share those things really with the world, and not just myself, but really pulling everybody else along with us to elevate the Latino leadership capability, and really beyond it, all underrepresented populations. It's not easy to develop ourselves into strong leaders. We just don't. We're not born with those insights, and a lot of times in college, we're not taught those things. And so, it's up to us, especially as those who have helped pave the way to give back and to elevate others in our community.
And I love the whole give back, right? Because you're right. Like when I started in the military, I'll just tell you, I was the only brown person in the room. Everybody else was not. And so as the years went on, that became more prevalent.
Mm-hmm.
But I had to kind of put the etch in the ground, right? A little by little,
right,
for all those that came behind to be to go a little farther. I was just talking about how we paved the way. I was just talking about how we make it better for those that are coming up, and what you're doing, not only with this book project, but in your own profession, is to be lauded. There's so much that we have to be grateful for, but among the things that are external are the people that went ahead, right? There were so many people that went ahead of me that were of Hispanic origin, that went so far, and I was able to capitalize on their efforts. So thank you to all those that were integral and that I did not know, right? Because that's another thing. We get to do this and maybe never meet, right? That person that benefited from that. And it's amazing.
Yeah, I just want to jump in. You said a couple of things there. When to your point, earlier in my career, I remember, especially in my 20s and early 30s, even now, but more so then, there weren't many of us there. So I relied on, to be honest, the non-Latinos, the white people, the white leaders to help guide me and mentor me. And it was interesting because at that time I didn't know what sponsorship was, and to be honest, they were my sponsors. They promoted me, right? They advocated for me. They gave me opportunities. They fought for my bonuses, and they fought for all those things for me. I just thought it was cool that they did that. I had no idea that's what sponsorship was. And so back then, I didn't have the opportunity to lean on another Latino. Even, to be honest, I didn't even think about that. I just thought, hey, it's cool. I've always had that. I always had a strong ability to create relationships. That's really my superpower. And I do that today. I lead global teams and global projects, etc. But back then, even as early in my career, I was able to establish those relationships across the organization, especially with these senior leaders. And they took me under the wing. They showed me the ropes. And it was because of that experience, I've learned to expand my perspective. And so I learned a lot during the process. I learned a lot about how to navigate corporations and the importance of business relationships, the importance of, to be honest, the importance of golf. That's how I got pulled into it. I wasn't raised, playing golf, but they were like, hey, come out with us. Let's play some golf. And next thing you know, I have, 5 or 6 uninterrupted hours of executive time. And those were the bonds that helped propel my career, my understanding of business, and just in the end, my leadership capability. So those were things that I also talk about in my book, is the importance of broadening your perspective and broadening your network. Those are the things that can definitely help get you ahead.
And you talk about something that's just absolutely true. All of my sponsors, all of my mentors,
Mhm.
early on, and I would say for the first 10 to 15 years,
Mhm.
were not Hispanic.
Mhm.
Not at all.
Mhm.
But they saw capability and they saw beyond the color, and they were able to invest in me. I have a list of them that don't share a Gonzalez, Acevedo, none of that, right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
but they were able to do that, so I thank them. I thank them and all those that are out there doing the same.
Mhm.
That you're able to see past a color or an ethnicity or a language and see just straight potential to be great, and that you are investing in that. So thank you to all those that are doing that currently.
Yeah, and it's interesting, Enrique. Just to take it even a step further, even in today's world, my sponsors, my mentors, I still go for the diversity in it. So two of them are women, one's white, and one is black. And I still have, again, my white male sponsor, and I also have mentors who are Latino. So it's really, I'm very intentional about how I go after mentors and sponsors. I look for the ones with, either the capability I'm trying to develop, and it's always moving, right? It depends on where you are in your career, and even within your journey of your career. There's, I look for the female perspective on certain things because I want to learn more about that, and I want to build that into my leadership repertoire. I look for those who, when I'm looking at my career, my next move, who are those key influencers that can help create those opportunities and to create those warm introductions to that organization, or do they have experience in that area of the business? In addition, it's not just me, taking, it's me giving as well. One of the things I do, I listen closely when I talk to mentors and sponsors. What can I do to drive their agenda forward, their business forward? So, for instance, I had one just really influential mentor, and I said, hey, I'm interested in developing a relationship, and I listened carefully to what she was, what was going on in her world and her business, and I remember she made just a small tic tac comment that, hey, hey, by the way, I just hired this one, great, high caliber person to my organization. But I really wish I would, she was more polished in her executive presence. I said, well, by the way, I do work in that space. And so fast forward, I mentored that person, and she developed her executive presence and was able to add impact in different ways in her organization and in her role. But those are the types of wins that can create strong advocates for you, that can turn mentors into sponsors. And so it's creating that value, that both ways relationship, that mutually beneficial relationship that can be really special for both sides, and especially your brand and your career.
And it's so important to diversify that input, right? As leaders, we need perspectives from every angle so that we can refine those areas in our life. And I love that you mentioned the female complement, the difference in ethnicity, the difference in levels, right? I've always been one that have encouraged one below, one at, one ahead, and one at your dream,
Mhm.
right? So that you can get all that vast perspective and make your decision making a whole lot more effective, because
Sure.
without that, where would we be? And so important to have those elements talked or touched on in your employment of mentors, sponsors. And hey, the difference, I would love for you to talk about the difference
Yeah.
between mentor and sponsor, because there is a difference. But yeah, I'll let you do that.
Yeah, thank you. And I also put a chapter in some of my book. What's interesting is, we hear all the time, underrepresented populations are over mentored, under sponsored. And that's so true. So I'm not going to talk about mentors too much. I'll just say, if you're looking to develop a capability, if you're looking, for someone to bounce ideas off, or a situation that you want feedback on, find a mentor, and that could be any level. It's really somebody with expertise, either situationally or within a subject, right? Where sponsors come into play, that's the magic. That's the holy grail of relationships. And so I put a lot of emphasis on that in the book. So sponsors are the ones who are going to put their reputation on the line for you. They're the ones that are going to fight for your promotion, fight for your higher ratings with their peers. And sponsors are usually the ones who carry weight at that table, right? At that decision-making table. So it's usually a VP and above, and even a VP. Who are the most influential VPs? If you scan the environment within your organization, who are the ones that people listen to? Who are the ones out front, setting a tone for the organization? Those are the ones you want to go after. But like I said, sponsors are the ones who are going to put everything on the line for you. So before they do that, they're going to want to know you. And so knowing you takes time, and it has to be organic, the relationship. It's not something you can just go to somebody and say, hey, VP, can you be my sponsor? Not going to happen. What they need to do is they need to see you personally, professionally, your brand, your output, your impact. Are you a role model for the organization? Do you have conviction in everything you do and everything you say and how you show up? Those are the things that sponsors look for before they say yes to you. And all that takes time. Just really quickly, one of my recent sponsors, I was able to get him as a sponsor because I led a project for him, a strategic project, and I identified the business need for his group. And then we partnered for a whole year, and he got to see my work. He got to understand what was going on with me personally, my family, my likes, and vice versa, right? We had some common ground. I think our daughters were like the same age, but it was a really personal, intimate, professional relationship. And at the end of the day, I asked him, I say, hey, here's what I'm trying to achieve. I could really use your help, and here's how I can use it. And I would love it if you could sponsor me. And obviously I'll continue adding value for you in different ways. And so it's that organic relationship that leads to someone trusting you enough to be their sponsor. And so again, in my book, I cover this all, end to end in detail. My goal is for as many Latinos as possible. It really, everybody, not just Latinos, but to have a game plan and a recipe for how to land and then drive that sponsor relationship to the benefit of both of you.
Absolutely. Now, talking about your book, since we're at the 40-minute mark almost on the show, tell us about what brought you to this point to be able to write a book. Everybody wants to do some things in life. Few actually get to do it, right? And you got to. So what got you to the point where you got this idea and then structured your book? And then tell us about the project as a whole.
Yeah, so it was interesting. I do a lot of, I'm big into leadership, just to give you some context, probably about 6-7 years ago, I was struggling with getting promoted, again, Latino style, keep your head down, work hard. And that's what I did up to that point, because that was what I thought I had to do. And I noticed everybody around me get promoted. I always got the best projects and best programs. I'm a project manager by trade, but I never got promoted. And so I went to a senior leader, a Latina, and I was like, hey, what do I need to do differently? Because I noticed that I'm not moving up, into those leadership roles. And, she was honest. She just said, you need to act the part, look the part. Your image has got to be on point. You have to add impact across the organization. You have to get involved. And I never thought of those things. I'm like, okay. So next thing you know, fast forward, now 6-7 years later, I've put tremendous focus on leadership. I am a leadership student. I'm always growing. I'm always playing with different concepts. For example, executive presence, my communication, whether it be verbal, nonverbal, written, etc. There's just so many elements of leadership, and I cover a lot of those in my book. But, so over the past couple of years, I've dug really deep and started, mentoring and coaching around this. And what inspired me was, it's, again, still being corporate, we get annual reviews, and, having executive presence is something I get called out for all the time. It's extremely important to me. I put a lot of effort, and I get recognized for that. And I remember my VP saying, you should coach people on that. So what I did is I started coaching people on that, and then I was like, well, I can coach on other stuff as well. So I started doing that, and then specific with Latinos, I started seeing the same themes as I had 6, 7 years ago. People frustrated, struggling. What am I doing wrong, or what am I not doing? It was the same themes because Latinos would keep our heads down and we work hard and we think that's going to get us somewhere, and it's really holds us back. So long story short, I saw the need, right? Just the theme within our community. I said, I know the answer to that, and here's how to do that. And my mentees were getting promoted, just like I started getting promoted, and so I knew we were into something special. And I had somebody say, "Hey, you should write a book on this material." And so I did. I did my research. I've talked to several Latinos across the world over the past year, and just to understand the need for the book, and what were really the key pain points that I could solve for. And so net, there was an opportunity to add value, to add impact. I talk about impact in my book for the entire Latino community, to level set everybody on what it means to add impact in a workplace, to stand out, and to make yourself promotion ready. To me, I felt I had the recipe for that. And even in addition, I didn't want to make this book about all my insights. And I said, what a outstanding and unique opportunity to bring all Latinos across the world, the most influential ones, and provide their insights. I didn't want this to be a book about inspiration. There's plenty of inspirational books and speakers and all that stuff. I'm more business focused. I'm more direct. I'm more action and results oriented. And I want to write a book about that. So it's really about actionable insights to deliver results for your career. And, this, what I call a playbook, the Latino Leadership Playbook, is a recipe to do that. It's a leadership manual for Latinos. It focuses on your mindset just as much as your skill set. And so the secret sauce is those two elements. Previously, we only worked hard and we're known for that. I want to be known for working smart, because working smart is what's going to get you elevated and promoted in the workplace. So net over the past year, I've pulled and harnessed all the insights of over 50 of the most influential Latino, and non-Latino leaders across the world, providing their actionable insights for everybody to develop themselves into promotion-ready professionals in the workplace.
And for all those that have been missing that piece, and you just listening to Ref talk about, these missing elements, and we all have those as we're growing up until we get to run into somebody that has had some type of traction in their career and wouldn't be afraid to, give it and share it. The Latino Leadership Playbook is basically what it is, right? And you grab a hold of that book and you start digesting some of this information that is being shared in this book. Coming out October, right? Mid-October or so. And you will be amazed on how all of that history and all of those advice will propel you. So if you are looking for some content to juice your career, there you go. You're gonna get that book and you're gonna be well for it. Now, one thing that I realized when I was growing up, I saw this my first 3 years as a tough road to go up, because, and like I said, I was the only brown one in the room, and it was challenging. But I realized later on that this individual that made it challenging, whether he made it for good or bad, I'll never know because he never explained it. I took it as bad. I took it as an attack. I took it as, oh, he's making me look worse than everybody else every time he addresses me. But in essence, what he did was, whether, like I said, he meant it for good or bad, he pushed me to be the best. And then I continued that. I continued that. And so I have to thank him. Whether I felt bad at the moment or not, I have to thank him, because that is the key element. He basically was telling me, Enrique, you can't speak like you did back home in this arena. You have to sharpen that, get some education, get some proficiency, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Like I said, I took it bad at first, but it ended up being my benefit. My wife was just telling me like a couple of days ago, you're still triggered by some things, and you're still hurting from that period,
Mhm.
because I see it. You're always speaking at this level that's kind of like separating you from folks, especially here in the house. But that kid, right? That kid always trying to be the best, always trying to do the best, always trying to show the best. What's coming out? She's like, I see him all the time. But it really was a refinement to allow me to become that person that can be in front of people, that can speak to a group, that
Mhm.
can eloquently speak and invigorate and inspire and motivate, however they wanted to take it.
Mhm.
But that early on kind of challenge was the catalyst for me to be able to do that.
Yeah, I like that story, Enrique. It takes, being bold and putting ourselves out there. I don't know if it comes naturally for all of us. I'm naturally ambitious, so I have a little bit of that. But having somebody believe in us, kind of goes back to, whether you're in school or your career, but having that someone that believes in us can pull us through, right? And to help us believe in ourselves, or to help us make us thirstier, really help us realize our full potential. Again, growing up, I didn't have that mentor sponsor. My father was a truck driver, my mom was a secretary, and I had to figure everything out myself, just like a lot of us. And now that we did, I challenge all of us, to elevate and pull others through, and to help them be bold in what they do. At the same time, I do want to touch upon, this element of, I talk about in the book, of being a bicultural leader. And Dr. Robert Rodriguez, I think, coined this in his book, Auténtico. But it's important that we understand where to push and pull on our culture in the workplace. So for instance, we're group oriented, right? And so it's a superpower for me in the workplace. I'm able to connect with others very well, and I lead large teams, and I'm very good at that. I mean, it's because of my cultural background. However, there's times in business too where you have to make quick decisions, and you can't engage everybody. So you also have to know when to pull back on those things. And sometimes it's not natural for us. You gotta work that muscle and master that. We're very respectful, as an example, and in the workplace. And to get to your point, sometimes you got to be bold and put yourself out there. Sometimes you have to challenge authority, but challenge them respectfully with well thought out ideas and very vetted ideas, and good strategies. But there's ways to respectfully challenge authority. There's ways to bring your perspective to the table and showcase those things, and having a concise, articulate way of doing that. Those are the things that, as a group, that we need to do more of. And so having that bicultural mindset, number one, and then actually being able to execute on those things, number two, is what's going to get us ahead. So Enrique, I'm glad you brought that up, because there's so many elements just within that small story you gave.
And in the military, we talk about operational, strategic, and tactical, right? You have to use those elements even on the outside civilian world. You have to learn how to be operational, but also strategic and tactical, because it's going to require you as a leader to be able to employ those elements at will. It has to be, and we get into situations that I need the answer right now, and you're gonna think, am I gonna require kumbaya right now when I need this like this quick, or am I gonna rely on my years of experience as well as my knowledge of my team? And that's what I was talking about earlier before we got into the conversation about knowing, being culturally aware will add actually value to you as a leader
Hmm.
if you know your team to the core. And
Hmm.
so one of those elements of operational, strategic, or tactical, you're going to have to employ at any given time. Now you've amassed this group of folks that have collaborated with you on this book. What a great list of people! I saw the list. What
Hmm.
an amazing group of leaders worldwide.
Hmm.
And so You have this group. This thing is launching in October. Tell us what's your vision? What's your vision for this book?
Yeah, and thank you for that question. And so for me, the book is one element of it. For me, the product is the insights and the expert advice, the actionable insights and expert advice within the book. The book is a channel. One of the things I was thinking of is, how do I get these insights to the world? And for the professional world, it's a book, and even for the student world. If you think about, if you just to educate you really quickly on some of the numbers, is like, as Latinos, we're very young. We're the fastest growing demographic. I think the median or the mode age is like 19 or something. We're a very young population. So one of the things that is really important for the future of our leadership of the Latino community is to get them young. And so another avenue we're exploring is, how do we get them at the college level? And so, for instance, we're working with HSIs to develop potentially a curriculum or some sort of workshop capability, leadership curriculum for young Latinos as they enter the workforce, and make them leadership ready, workforce ready, and show up differently to compete. So insights, product, and then so we have these various channels. But getting back to the Latino Leadership Playbook, it's our first step, in this journey. It's coming out October 6th. So there's a live in-person event here in Chicago that, we're having people fly in. It's going to be a phenomenal event. But then once we launch, we're also having a virtual launch on October 17th. And I'm hoping you'll be there, but we'll have many of our contributors, and you'll be able to hear directly from them on their passion, their insights, and kind of how they see the future of Latino leadership. Those are the things that are hopefully going to hook everybody in and get people excited about their career journeys. I always tell people, it's great if you buy the book, but I ask everybody to take action for your career. So whether it's a book, this book, which is, very nicely packaged, or other trainings or whatever it is, but take action, take accountability to move your career forward, move the needle forward. Because at the end of the day, that's what counts. Everybody's development counts. And however we can get there, we'll fully support it.
Absolutely. Now, I'm excited about the launch of the book, and yes, I will be there present. Folks, we're going to be highlighting a lot of great Latino leaders this month, namely Cesar Rojas, Adriana Rosales, which I also co-labored on another book with her, Moni Jefferson of AMC Agency, and Raquel, better known as Rocky Flores, will be with us this month as we celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month. But Ref, it's such an honor to know you, brother, to see and witness your work, to be a co-laborer in helping other Latinos in the future and currently on how they strategize really around their career growth and their promotion capabilities, which is something that we seldom see. So I'm excited about this book. When it comes out, where would it be available? Where can folks go get it? Maybe you have a website.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Enrique. So a couple of ways. One is definitely Amazon, so you can download the book there. You got, both the physical and the e-version. If you are interested in buying, a lot of companies have reached out to place bulk orders, bulk book orders. You can get through my website at Refugio Atilano.com. And it's not quite ready yet, so I need another week, 2 weeks or so. But again, if you're interested in those bulk orders or any type of, kind of going deep on any of these topics, let me know. We can go deep. I can bring contributors. We can make sure you have everything you need to be successful for you, your company, your family, etc. So looking forward to making everything live here shortly.
Outstanding. We're going to have, folks, we're going to have all those links. They'll be in the comics, and you can connect with Ref on the side, and he'll get those links to you as well. But I'm excited about the book launch. I'm excited about the potential of future projects because of the book. Always good to see something that is given birth, grow in different aspects. And I'm going to throw it out there. Maybe a conference. I don't know. It can start small. I don't know, but just throwing it out there. Folks, it has been so good to have you join us. I see folks on LinkedIn, see folks on YouTube, see folks even on Facebook joining us. Appreciate you. If you'd like to leave a comment about the things that we have covered, that would be nice. and we will take care of that in a post live. But Refugio, thank you so much for what you're doing, how you're impacting not only your community locally, but now on a global scale once this book goes out. And it's always nice to see fellow Latinos prosper, right? Prosper through knowledge and prosper through application. And you're doing that. Any parting thoughts, brother, before we chime it in?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Enrique. My parting thought is, and I leave the book with this, is for everybody to take, to focus on unity, action, and accountability. Unity, I talk, the Latinos, we need to come together and stay together. That's the way we move the needle. And not just across backgrounds, but really the Latinos and Latinas, just kind of, in my experience, I've seen a little bit of a divide there, and it's something we need to quickly close the gap on. Again, the quicker we come together, the more impact we can make. Action, having this book is great, but having it and not doing anything with it, not great. So I am, calling to action every Latino to take action with this book. I provide templates, tools, strategies on how to collectively bring it to life for your development, for really the collective development of all Latinos. And finally, accountability. As we take action, hold each other accountable. And the way we do that is, I put in my book, it's a simple question. If I come across somebody with the book, I'm going to ask a simple question: where are you at in your book? And right away, that establishes an accountability. And then the last thing I'll mention here is, this book is really food for action. Someone mentioned to me, you give me good food for thought, but it's really more than thought. It's food for action. It's food for driving your career forward. So I'm hoping the audience, anybody you touch, the younger generation, get people involved, get people excited to develop them themselves, because now we have a packaged way to do so. So I'm hoping everybody will take advantage.
And I agree. I've always said, and I'm sure I heard this before, so I say it: knowledge is not power. The application of knowledge is. And so that's where you actually see and feel and can experience power. Folks, we've come to the end of Aloha Friday Live with my friend Ref, the author of the Latino Leadership Playbook. And we are asking for you to help us reach 500 subscribers on our DTLW podcast. If you go to YouTube at DTLW podcast, you can see over 180 guests that have come through the show talking about worldwide leadership. Please help us get to 500. I think we're less than a handful, maybe 2 handfuls from that goal, but it would be great to have you do that. We are streaming live on Parade Deck. Go to paradedeck.com and follow me. Follow 731. You'll see all of my live shows and all of my content on there. So follow us on Parade Deck and any social media platform that you have. Today has been all about Ref and his book and his work. So we thank you all. Mahalo, everybody. Have a great Aloha Friday Live, Aloha Friday and weekend. Be safe, and we'll see you next week.